Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations in Horror, the podcast. I'm your host, Kevin L. Powers. I'm also the owner, operator of Something Wicked Entertainment and Events, and I want to welcome you to our program today. Now, of course, if you have never listened to our program, what we do is we take an individual film, and me and my host kind of critique, analyze. We gotta have a conversation about this movie. It could be a really popular movie, or it could be a film that has been completely forgotten by the masses. But what we do is we have a conversation about this movie in order to allow you, the audience, to kind of get an insight on what we think about this movie. Now, we do hope that once you listen to us talk about the movie, if you've never seen the movie, you go out there and check it out. But if you've also seen the movie, that you might go out there and check it out with a new insight from us. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we are actually kind of running through a series of movies right now, and if you've been listening to our previous our podcast, you'll realize that we've done two previous movies in this franchise, and to get you into it now, I hope that you go back out there and you check out the previous episodes. But the movie we are talking about today is The Mummy's Tomb from 1942, so make sure you check out the other films in this franchise beforehand as well. And to talk about this film with me, I have Dave Watkins and John Conkle. I want to thank you guys for joining me on the show. Say hello, both of you.
Hey, what's up?
Yep, we're ready to talk about more of some mummy, I assume, on this one, right?
So, everyone who's listening, we have been delving deep in these mummy movies, and we're going to continue to do so. If you've been listening to our other show, Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors, we've already delved into some of the mummy movies from that franchise, and here we are delving deep into the Universal Horror version and franchise, and this film is the third one in the franchise. So, The Mummy's Tomb, which is a kind of direct sequel to the previous film. I want to kind of get your ideals, your thoughts about what you thought about the movie, and or if you could tell me when you kind of first saw the film. And we're going to start off with Dave today.
So we just talked about the movie before this, The Mummy's Hand. So I've always watched this after watching The Mummy's Hand. I've always watched it in order. I watched it from the set we talked about we had before, the Mummy set, and I really like The Mummy's Hand a lot. And this one I really don't like that much for lots of reasons. But there's some good stuff about it too. But the biggest thing is, for some reason, this is made 2 years after Mummy's Hand, and it jumps forward like 30 years, and it has the same actors that were amazing in The Mummy's Hand, but here they age them like they're old dudes, and I don't know. It's like an odd decision. I don't quite understand why they had to go that far in the future. Which, by the way, the Mummy's Hand takes place in 1940, and this one's supposed to take place 30 years after that. And I guess it's supposed to be in the 70s. So I don't know. It doesn't look like it.
It's kind of a timeless zone,
Yeah,
because I mean they've got modern cars, they've got horse-pulled buggies, they've got gas lights, they've got modern lights. It's like It Follows. I mean, what year is this? You know, what's going on? I guess it's 1971.
Yeah, it looks like, I mean, it was made in 1942. They had no idea what 1971, but you think they'd have some weird science fiction shit going on or something.
Right.
Yeah.
They did not predict it very well. The 70s.
I don't think they were trying
they
to.
were off.
I think they really were trying to make it so that it's like maybe a couple years after the last one, but we've aged everybody 30 years to make them look old and stuff. And I agree with you, Dave. I do not really like some of the changes they made, because those two characters, the Steve Banning and
Babe.
I can't believe I always
Babe.
They are such great characters in the previous film, and in this film they're aged so that they're like not so interesting as characters, despite the fact we can still see the actors underneath that.
Really, the actors do a convincing job, and the makeup looks decent enough. It's just like, why though? It's baffling to me. But another thing that they do is they have one scene that takes place, I guess, in Egypt, and then the rest of it takes place in Massachusetts, in this town of Mapleton. So it's like they wanted to get out of the cool sets and just make it like a kind of, it's almost like a plantation like town, like a southern town in it's called Mapleton, kind of like Mayberry or something in a way. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's kind of like that new Tron movie where it's like it's Tron but like in downtown LA, so who cares? No, but like no. I thought there's like a plantation in the movie, and I was like, is there plantations in in
You see it a lot more.
Massachusetts.
Well, they
But
got it. Yeah,
you
it's a
see
nice
it in
house. It's a big ass house too.
It's a big house.
Yeah.
There's several big houses in this movie, and you kind of get that plantation feeling when you're seeing Karas walking through the streets. And he's like, "Oh, what the hell is he walking through? This is Old Town Mapleton, plantation type." Okay, which doesn't jive with the time period at all that we think it's supposed to be. So it all seems kind of weird. Yes, I know.
Well, I mean, I always like a mummy to have a little bit more Egypt in there in mummy
Yep.
movies, and they tend to go once they get into this one until the last one of this series, they stay away from Egypt for the most part. They're like, okay, we got it figured out. Here's how we can do it cheaper. We don't have no more Egyptian sets, just all like whatever. Like I guess yeah, whatever
Bad
next
plot,
one. Yeah,
You know, USA.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but it's funny because this one has the same kind of thing scene in it where Andahib, who we thought was killed in the last movie, is just really old in this one without the use of one of his hands, I believe. And then of course he's passing the torch to yet another younger
Right.
version of him. And
But
like
yeah.
we were commenting in the last movie, he passes it off and then Andahib dies.
Well, it's like, yeah, they bring
Yeah.
him back. He dies in the mummy's hand, and then they bring him back for like a 2 or 3 minute scene to die again. It's like kind of like what's the point of that? But they bring back the same actor in old age makeup. I do like the new Andahib, who's actually like something Bey. I think it was Mohammed Bey,
Muhammad Bey.
who was like a character also in the Hammer Mummy horror film, and that's kind of where they got that character from. Because they took that from this movie because they had access to this movie, and then they have that character the way he is in this film in The Mummy with Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee.
Yeah. And I think the one in this one is very Muhammad Bey is very much closer to the Hammer version than he is in Andahib in the previous film.
I like the guy from the first one too. Was it George Zuko? This guy, I believe it's pronounced right, Turhan Bey. I was reading about him. He actually really was Egyptian, and he really enjoyed this part. And I think I really like what he does with the character. He's a lot younger guy. He's more attractive than the other guy. But he spends most of the time in having to hang out in this cemetery where he has the mummy. But I guess before we get into that further, I guess we should talk about the more exposition that happens before that.
Yeah. So so for everyone who's never seen the film, obviously this is a Universal horror movie for the 40s, and so the very beginning has to do it with a retread of the previous film. But since it's like 30 years later, we have an older Steve Banning telling his family, his son, and of course his son's new girlfriend, and
son John Banning and
Isabel, his aunt.
Yeah.
Isabel is John's fiance or wife. Were they married?
Fiance.
Fiance.
But there's a big to do about that later in the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I was trying to remember that. And then of course his sister is also there since his wife
The
wife's name for the previous movie. The wife for the previous
Marta.
movie is now Marta.
Marta,
She's
yeah.
passed away and dead. She's died.
Yeah. And they cut over to a picture with
Yeah,
her like
yeah.
some bad airbrushed gray in her hair.
Yeah.
Man, that was a bad move. But I guess they probably maybe couldn't get. I mean, there's a lot of bad moves in this. This is like I don't know if it's the first time this ever happened, but this is kind of like when those horror movies they make a sequel and all of a sudden they kill off all the characters, and it's like all the characters you liked a lot before, and I was like, It's may have been the beginning of that trope, which I really don't like that trope.
I never liked that trope either. I thought that was always it just always rubbed me the wrong way because you'd have this one great movie beforehand and it was like, oh great, and then they kill him the main character for the first movie in the sequel, like they did Friday 13th and Friday 13th Part 2.
The Scream movies
Oh,
always are doing
Scream,
it.
oh man, it's so bad. Your Scream movie did it too. Yeah, that's right.
But to me, the worst ones that always stick out to me is like Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and 4. Going into 4, killing the Dream Warriors off. I hated that.
Yeah.
And then we're going to talk about this later, Halloween 4 to 5, when they kill the Rachel character off in 5. And they did the same thing. Yeah, it's very similar though in those. But this is at least they gave these characters a life. They gave them like a 30-year span to get old and gray. At least that they didn't just kill them off like because it easily could have just been like 2 to 5 years later, and they could have had this same shit could have happened. I don't know why they had to be old.
They had to have the son. They had to have. They had. We had. To
Yeah.
Even though it could have been Steve and Babe again together again with another adventure, I would have been more happy, or would have been happier with that kind of story. But I think they wanted to get characters that aren't associated with archaeology because they got rid of Egypt for this movie for the most part, and Steve and Babe are more or less stuck in that Egypt world, and of course the new characters of John and Isabel are more modern, and so they're in Mapleton, and who knows? We don't know. The movie was made so damn long ago, but it's interesting to talk about and think about these concepts.
The character of John is he has some kind of medical. I think he's a doctor at some point, or he's trying to be a doctor. At some point, he gets involved with some kind of military operation. This movie was made during World War II, but it's in the 70s, so there's some new conflict going on that's similar to World War II. Yeah. Clearly.
I didn't think about that till just now. It's so freaking hilarious.
Going to Da Nang.
Yeah. So.
But this film does not waste time at all because it's short and they spend like the first 10 minutes going over footage for the first movie. And then of course we get straight into the actual story of this film.
Well, like the Mummy's Hand, the very first scene of that is when the high priest talks to Anoheb. That's nowhere close. It's, what I'm talking about, the guy with the fez. Played by George Zucco, but he basically the first scene of that has the high priest handing over the mantle, and it takes about good 15 to 20 minutes to get to that scene, which really should have been the first scene again. And the same thing happens, just a different dude.
Just a different dude.
Yeah, and so, but it actually kind of works in a way that we're seeing the same thing again, but it is sort of thing that happens. How did that guy get that old in 30 years? That's what we were talking about with the other guy, the other high priest. He seems to have some kind of necklace on him that he hands over.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
yeah. And I think that necklace, and we were talking about this last night, I think that is what keeps him alive. But when he hands him over the necklace, it kills him in a few minutes.
I was just going he's really dedicated to this job because that's the second priest in a row. You just work up to the last minute. There is no retirement plan for that priest, man. You just go, and then when you feel it leaving, man, you gotta have that guy ready to take that amulet, man, because you are on the job. I don't have time to train you. I just good luck, bye, out.
Yeah. He does give him a very specific assignment that I don't know why he didn't accomplish this himself in 30 years, but he tells him he wants him to go and take the mummy to Massachusetts in Mapleton and destroy the Banning family. That's his and he says he's also set him up as at a cemetery to be a caretaker of a cemetery, which is a cool set. Because it's like he's got a cool cemetery set, and he's got an interior mausoleum that he hangs out in. That's where and these high priests though, they got to do weird shit. They got to hang out in weird places all the time, and they get kind of weird after a while.
With dead bodies all the time. Yeah.
I was going, does this guy know how to embalm? I mean, has he taken over the business? I mean, or is he just does he have to scrub the toilets? I mean, what's this guy do? I love the fact though that they set it in a mausoleum, and with the palm fronds, kind of making the comparison between the old mummy's tomb to a modern equivalent to it. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, what's funny is that he just takes that fucking mummy's sarcophagus and puts it in the middle of it, and just hoping that nobody's going to come want to see their loved ones in there. So
you're right.
It's on tour. It's on tour. I got a deal with the museum. It's on tour. It's $5 to get into the mausoleum because we've got King Tut's tomb.
Yeah,
sure. Oh Jesus! The logic. It looks cool, but you're right. The logic not really sound in this film. I don't know if it kind of distracts from the film itself because what really happens is there's a live death in this one. The mummy does really kill people, just like in the previous one. Because
he kills more people in this one than the other one. This one is only an hour long. The other one's an hour and 6 minutes long. This one's an hour long, and it's probably got at least 10 minutes of archive footage in it at the top of it. So
no, I got I got kind of a proto slasher movie kind of vibe from this one because it was kill and then a police procedural mixed in
Yeah, oh,
with
yeah,
it.
yeah.
So it was a completely different kind of movie than the last one, you know. But yeah, like Mummy. But it went to places that I didn't think it was going to go. I not to spoil anything. I really enjoyed this. But keep going, Dave. I'm just
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
keep it bottled up.
No,
Good. Well,
Before I go.
you better be holding on to that for later. I hope you talk
Yeah.
about it at some point.
because we don't do spoiler-free conversations. We don't do
Yeah.
spoiler-free
Well, I don't
conversations.
want to. I mean, I just don't. I don't want to.
Yeah, no,
jump
don't
off
want to
the
jump.
gun. Yeah.
Don't want
Don't
to
want
do
to
it
jump
quite
the gun.
yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So then the new high priest is there, who's Mohammed Bey, and he basically sets the mummy out and does. He goes in back and he kills the Steve Bannon character, the older version of it. And the guy Dick Foran who plays him gets second billing in this film, and he's in it maybe 20 minutes. Lon Chaney Jr. gets first billing as Karis, but it was the mummy.
Thankless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A thankless performance by
Yeah.
Lon Chaney, who can bring so much, like his Wolfman performance.
Oh yeah,
where
Lon
like
Chaney was great. Yeah.
yeah, even like in Spider Baby,
Yeah.
he just brings
Yeah.
so much misery. And then he plays Lenny in the old of Mice and Men, and here he is, like a mask completely covering his face, gets to do basically nothing. And it was just a gimmick to have his name on the poster.
Yeah.
I agree. We talked about this a little bit last night because we like the mummy from the Mummy's Hand a lot better than
Yeah.
this
Mhm.
mummy. Lon Chaney Jr.'s in I did mention he's a pretty heavy guy, and the mummy should be skinny and
Oh.
bones. And this dude's he's big, like not just tall, big like Christopher Lee. He's
Mhm.
round.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's like Jason in Part 6. You know,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
just stocky, just
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
at you. That's why I got like slasher movie vibes for this one.
Yeah,
This mummy has drank a lot of Tana fluid.
No, they keep saying fluid.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh yeah, we didn't
Good.
even. I didn't forgot to mention the Tana leaves are back.
Yeah.
We were hoping they'd switch to a scroll, but then they bring the Tana leaves back, and they got the rules again. They disregard one of the rules. Like this time, they only have two rules. One's 3 keeps them alive, 9 gets them
moving.
motivated. Yeah,
Motivated. That's what they say.
Motivated.
Gives them motivation.
But
Get off the couch,
yeah.
mummy.
And
How
the
many
mummy,
have you applied to any
Yeah.
jobs today, mummy?
Give
I
them the
need
motivation.
9 for motivation.
Exactly. And then that's what they say in this one. In the previous one, it was like if you give him more than 9, he's going to go berserk. But they
Yeah.
don't. They got rid of that rule because they were like, he's going to go berserk anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Right.
'cause they don't want him to go out of control. They want him to be able to stay in control. So they don't want to. They kept that rule out of this one on purpose.
That's right.
Yeah, well, I do like the fact that the mummy is sent after people in this one, as opposed to Muhammad Bey having a beggar character, a hench person who's putting the Tana's fluid somewhere, and the mummy just
Stashing-
showing up there.
It's like
Yeah.
stashing weed in their under their pillow.
Yeah. But that,
You know?
yeah, in the mummy's hand, we were talking about it last night. He does that like a crack addict. That mummy does, and
Yeah.
he does it in this one. But that mummy hands a lot better though. I think it was hilarious him acting like a crack addict, and
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
after the Tana fluid on the floor,
Well-
and licking it.
Well, you can kind of. Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah, yeah. Well, you can sort of see like him, like if he can get the 12, you know, maybe he can get some of his autonomy back. You know, because I was thinking a lot about, if they lose control of the mummy. I was thinking a lot about the mummy. I was thinking a lot about the mummy.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you,
It is a mummy movie. So.
It is a mummy.
Yeah.
It is a mummy movie. And so my thoughts drifted into territories that belong to mummies. And I would say that I really liked the mummy character in this. I had never seen these, and I had them on the Universal Blu-rays, and I just had no reason to watch them. And because I was like going like mummies. I mean, I was like when I saw the first one, I saw the Boris Karloff one when I was in like middle school, and I was real disappointed in it because
There's
the
no
guy with
mummy.
there's no
Yeah.
mummy. Oh, it was like a guy in the fez. I was
Yeah,
going
yeah,
like,
yeah.
well, this kind of sucks. Where's the mummy, man?
Yeah.
And the mummy, it's like Jason Goes to Hell. It's like where's Jason?
Yeah.
You know,
Shit.
but so I went to catch myself back up for this one. I rewatched the first one just with the commentary track because I was going like this movie kind of sucks. I don't really like it, but I loved it.
Yeah.
And then I was going like, oh, I get it now. Okay, I get it.
You're
That's
right.
fucking
That same thing happened to me too when I
Yeah.
rewatched it, because there was definitely a point when I watched that film and I did not like it. I thought
Yeah.
it was a rip off of Dracula. Then we watched it again, and I was like, yeah, same thing. I was like, okay, it makes more sense now. There's not the mummy that we know, and
No.
but it is still
Yeah.
the mummy.
Yeah. Yeah, you think the mummy's going to be like Frankenstein, and
Yeah.
it's going to have that look throughout the thing. But then you realize, and they talk about ripping off Dracula, talk about Bram Stoker's Dracula,
Yeah.
ripping it off the mummy, man. I mean, geez, just like I crossed oceans of time for you type stuff going on. And but what I love about the original mummy is just like it is like light years ahead as far as like lighting and technique, and you can totally see that the revered director really had some chops, and just even if you compare it to how these sequels were shot, how the camera floats through the scenes and the original Mummy, it's really pretty ahead of its time. And then they forget it all for these sequels. The sequels are like 10 years later. I mean, anyway, I know you guys did the other movies already. I'm just going to jump ahead here.
No, I like that idea. I
Yeah.
think the thing though about that and the way that it looks, it is the director, and it's also the budget as well. When they got into these, they were definitely like cutting some budget, and they were trying to. They weren't given they still had some darkness in this one, like the mummy in the shadowy areas, but they were definitely trying to cut budget and trying to even making it shorter. But it is the
Totally.
budget and the director. So.
Yeah, totally different types of movies, though. I mean, part one is like a real serious, it's like an actual poem about mourning and the things you will do to get back with your old girlfriend.
But yeah, and they don't bring that into these, like
No.
it is kind of a Dracula plot too, but they
Yeah.
did that in the Mummy, the Hammer Mummy movie. They did that in that one, but they don't have, like, you expect the women in these to be the princess, like incarnation of the princess, reincarnation of the princess. But
Right. No. He's this guy. This is a broken, beaten down mummy at this point. All right. This mummy has been basically stripped of his autonomy. He's been basically he was this guy who suffered such a loss in life. His passions made him go against the dogma of the religion, of the predominant religion, and as a punishment for doing that, he is stripped of his autonomy and he becomes a tool for this culture. The culture. There was like the predominant culture. It was like the government. It was like the religion and the thing that was in charge. And so this guy is basically, due to his sins, is punished in such a way and pulled apart and made into an instrument for that thing. That it's basically they took this guy's passion and they channeled it into a tool. All right. And so his rage and his heartbeat and stuff is all channeled now to their purposes, which I think is what happens to people.
yeah.
I'll say I agree with you on that, because unlike the Boris Karloff mummy in the first film, where you see he has a purpose, he has a purpose.
Right.
These films, the mummy doesn't have a real purpose. He is a tool by the high priest to just in that death to anyone who comes into Ananka's tomb, which seems kind of weird. I was like, okay. So someone that discovers her tomb, really, your whole high priestessness is just to make sure no one ever comes into this tomb and that's your
Well,
whole purpose in life. That just seems kind of weird.
Well, I mean, I think it's about sacred spaces. This is a big thing. This is a big thing I really liked about these movies, okay? Sacred spaces. Things mean things in this culture. This place has a meaning here. This space has reverence. These is the society that we live in. We have built up a mythology and a culture around these symbols, and these are important things. This is the basis of our society. Sacred spaces, all right? And what is so good about taking these movies together, all right? This is what I really got out of this, all right? So the Mummy one is its own thing, but I think these two movies, by themselves, are fine, okay? But taken together as a pair, actually have a very interesting concept behind it, all right? And probably not intentional, but they were like going like, let's crank out some mummy movies. But, you know, sometimes maybe people are trying to slip something in there. So sacred spaces, what things mean things in this culture. And in the first movie, you see this American influence come into this sacred thing where things mean things. But if you see the Americans, nothing means anything to any of them. It's completely irrelevant. They're all like Bugs Bunny. All right. They're all like, what's up, Doc? You know, and they're all like, it's that 1940s kind of, it's so Indiana Jones. I don't know if y'all talked about Indiana Jones on the last one. They're so Indiana Jones. Like, I come over there, I'll see some stuff. I know it means a lot to these people, but I'm just going to stuff it in my pocket and get out of here. All right. And if things get rough, I'm going to improvise and I'm going to fight my way out of it. And if my fists don't work, my gun will. All right. So, I mean, so these guys are coming into this place. All right. Mummy's Hand. I was so angry at them most of the time, all right? Because I thought they were charismatic, but that's the damn problem. They float through these scenes with absolutely no sense of any kind of what they are in, all right? They don't care what they're in. They don't care what this culture means. They don't care what the rules are. They just say like, they're only for their own self-interest. This guy's trying to save his job. And so it's just like Indiana Jones, fortune and glory, right? And so they're just there to take some resources and make a big quick buck, okay? Now, I'm not saying anything, but I'm saying what's amazing is it's such a American can-doism. Then you're supposed to think that these guys are good guys, but they're not the good guys. All right. The first thing in the Mummy's Hand, I was rooting for the Egyptians because I was like, who are these putzes coming in here, desecrating these people's culture? They get what they deserve. All right. And so what I like about the Mummy's Tomb is give it time, you know? Let these people become as meaningless as the culture that they desecrated. Now they've become old, and their stories of heroism, just like the Mummy's stories, their stories of heroism have now just become fodder, campfire fodder. Their lives have become irrelevant to the next generation. All right. And so it's kind of like this nice turn back on them. All right. And then they, for their sins that they were not punished for in the first movie, the mummy comes to them and there is no escaping that destiny, you know? So I really like that aspect. I like that they brought back the same guys and they were old, because now you see them at this other side of thing where yes, they got rich, they got famous, they got status from robbing the tomb, but history doesn't forget. And when you've got like these high priestess who they don't forget, they're like going, no, 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 you may think you've gotten away with it, but guess what? Our culture is important, and you may have made a quick buck. You may have gotten in a big, nice house and everything. You may have exploited our culture and stolen our resources, but guess what? So it's kind of colonialism going on in these movies. It's kind of so when the mummy comes and kicks their asses and strangles them with one thing, lurches. The thing about the mummy, the lurching. The Americans, they are airless. They're like, they're not grounded to anything. It's kind of like they say America has no history. We haven't been around for 1,000,000 years. So they just float through life. Everybody has like this laissez-faire, nonchalant attitude towards everything. It's like, well, that's a humdinger. Well, let's not get into arguments. Let's have another, blah, blah, blah. And the guys, but the mummy's got weight. He's got the weight of the centuries, and he's just like coming, and you can't run from him. He's inevitable. It's what I liked about It Follows. It was just like you can't stop destiny. And hey, and so maybe, so in the first movie, Mummy's Hand, they're going like, oh, all this stuff is ridiculous. All this magic is ridiculous, and here they are now old, and everybody's going like, man, Pops is kind of ridiculous, So that was pretty good, and so yeah, what you said about the Tannis leaves in the last one. What the mummy character, him trying to get every last drop of that Tannis, that may have been trying to get him up to 12 level, so he can finally get his autonomy back. But he's been basically turned into a soldier. They took his passions, they broke him down, and now he's a tool. But he's vengeance. He's cultural vengeance for the desecration of their sacred spaces, So I thought that was pretty neat.
Oh no, I definitely can see that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's essentially what you can see about most of these mummy movies, but they aren't always explored. But like me and Dave saw in was it The Curse of the Mummy's Tomb with our Hammer Studios. It's very much like very similar to that concept. Is in that film right there.
Yeah. It's probably later. Yeah, so they probably get more into that kind of concept. Yeah.
I think you bring up a lot of good points, and I think that it's maybe that's why they made them old. That's a good point, because I could not figure it out. Because the only thing in my head as I'm like, why did you do that? Right? To me, they could have still done this, but they could have done it a few movies later. But I do like that idea, and it does make the whole concept wrap around better.
Yeah. If you see it as like kind of like taking everything that they were about and making them the thing that they hated, or the thing that they didn't understand, now they are that, and now their kids have to, it's kind of Old Testament, the sins of the father are weeded on the side. I think they even say that, it's very much, the devil comes home to roost, and so yeah, I can totally see that. They had no money, so they set it in small town USA and everything like that, but it's actually kind of awesome that it takes place here, because now, in the first one, we're corrupting their culture, and now they get to come over here and corrupt our culture and make our culture, unsafe, and also, we're just going to say it. Okay. We're going to just say it. All right. We're just going to say it. All right.
Say it.
All right. So you got a group of people who go to another land, take their resources, get real rich, go back home, have a big party, and then one day, due to their foreign policy, a being who has been become a tool of a theology comes over and fucks up the homeland. You know, I'm just gonna say 9/11. Just gonna say this was like it's like nothing's changed, man. Like so, all right. Good night, everybody.
Yeah, the ideal that you have is very. I mean, you kind of hit on something that we haven't touched on a whole lot. We mentioned some of it, but not as much as you are this one, and it's very prevalent in this film because you do see the sins of the father visited upon the son, and this one because the father is eventually killed by Karras, and then of course, since Bay has sent him out to avenge vengeance on the entire Banning family, he's gonna go after everyone that's associated with that family. I can see that definitely because it's something that was really talked about in the Hammer Studio films, which takes elements from these films when they crafted it. You have in that film, you had the one character who was supposed to give back to the Egyptian culture what they took from the tomb, but then decides to take it on the road because he can make more money. Commerce. That is essentially what happens, and that really fucks up the entire story. And of course, the curse then is imposed upon all the people who entered the tomb, and so on and so forth. But that concept could have been what was driving this film originally. And Hammer did their version. They pulled those elements out of these films. To accentuate it more in those films because it works really well in that film because you have the older guy. You have the older guy, I can't remember his name, who can't stand what's happening by the sideshow carnival person, which is King. And then, of course, you have the younger guy who feels obligated to just keep going on with the status quo, no matter what it means to the culture that they're destroying.
Well, yes. That's cool. I think they were probably a little bit more progressive in the 60s and 70s. So, they were bringing these things out. I think the writers of these movies, I don't know if that was their intention to be so critical about America. And because I think these guys are painted as good guys. Even like in The Mummy's Hand, they're really like, it's a kind of like an Abbott and Costello kind of like archetype.
Definitely.
But it's what we like. It's what we like. Like Indiana Jones is like this, and I was even thinking of like the Mummy movie they made with Tom Cruise, where he's over there with like his sidekick and like making wisecracks and fighting his way out. In the Mummy's Hand, they get cornered. They beat up like an entire bar of Egyptians. And when they kill the priest, man, I mean that guy. It was just going like, ha, ha, ha. He goes like, I was like, 1, 2, 3, bam, 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 bam. And then he falls down like 1,000 steps. I'm going like, well, that is cold-blooded murder.
He just straight up shoots him, which is like.
But he's so lovable. He's the good guy. He's the good guy.
These movies were made during an era too where code was there, so they didn't consider that. To the production code, if you do a crime, you have to pay for it by the end of the film. Whether you have to die or you have to go to jail, but they didn't see that as a crime. The censors didn't see that as a crime, but the guy he was cackling
he was cackling. he was cackling pretty hardcore. I would agree. But it's a culture of culture of exploitation, okay? In this movie. And so what's also amazing about this movie, you got part 1, The Devil's Hand, where Mummy's Hand, where they're just over there exploiting that culture to bring back to the museums to make some money, and everything, and save their job. Who's just like, I just don't want to lose my job, But in The Mummy's Tomb, what I really liked was, and I thought was like, wow, the more things change, the more they say the same. The media circus that descends upon the town when there's like a few murders and everything. Now, they're not looking for truth. They're looking for story, and they're looking now the Bannon family who exploited now becomes the exploited. All right. They become fodder for the machine that they fed. Now they're being fed into the machine for papers and media headlines and all this stuff. What I love, what was unintentionally funny, was the scene in the bar where they go like, "Yeah, you got a part of the story here. You think I might know what's going on?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what's going on. It's a mummy." And they go like, "A mummy? Wow, what a story." They don't care if it's true. They don't care about anything. They go like, "What's going to sell this paper?"
Yeah.
It's unintentionally funny because I don't think they were thinking of I don't think they were thinking a culture of exploitation. I think they were thinking like, let's keep this thing running. We got 60 minutes.
Yeah, but
Yeah, well, you know, that's that's when the Babe character comes back into town and they're talking to him in the bar. But it is funny though. Yeah. He's like, there's definitely money. You know, it doesn't take the cops that long to actually decide there is a mummy though, because eventually, before the end of it, they're completely on board with it.
Well, you had the scientist. I love scientists in movies, all right? Because the scientist in the movie, I guess there was an Egyptologist. I can't remember what this guy was, but he had a microscope. And when he looked at it in the microscope, they always do this. They always say the Latin classification of whatever it is they're looking at. So this was like the Tanis leaf. So he goes like, I see it here. It is Boreallum porlavallis and everything, also called the Tanis leaf. You know, they always have that Latin classification right there in their head. No matter what they're going to see through that microscope, they always say it just like it's like shorthand for like, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's going to say the Latin classification.
But also keep in mind that this adds more weight to the story when you have a scientist who's
he says
stuff. And
he says it's mold.
Sprouting stuff.
Yeah. It's the mold, right?
He says mold is 3,000 years old. He also says, what did he say about it? He says there's like friggin' hieroglyphics on that little piece of like bandage that he found. Like,
hilarious.
Every bandage has hieroglyphics on it, you know.
Yeah, what is he, Blade Runner? What is he like? Snake scale or something like that. Oh, look, it's got the person's serial number on it. What's going on here?
But you know, it gets you to the point, and I think this is the main thing. You get to the point that the authorities are able to say, okay, it's a mummy. Let's get the people out there and in arms to get after this character. Because the one thing you did hit upon, Conkle, is that throughout the film, this film has multiple different people who experience something with the mummy, and they're just not one scene. It comes back several times before the whole town is in agreement, and they go after the mummy.
Right.
And so this film is a bit different from the previous one in that it's just not limited to the Banning family. It is expanded upon to other people in this small town who actually experience and or see the mummy firsthand.
The mummy's directly his only mission until later in the movie is to kill the Bannon family. But when other people see him, though, there's that one part where a guy sees him and he starts shooting him with a shotgun, and the mummy doesn't kill him. He just like knocks him out of the way because it's not on his kill list. I guess he can't just kill anybody he wants to, even though the guy's shooting him with a freaking shotgun, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, he just goes into shock, right?
It's not like the previous film where the mummy would kill anyone who got in his way. This film, he doesn't kill that character and he moves on to his true objective. You're right.
It's nice that the mummy has boundaries, right? You know, it's like nice that there's just some things, you know, hey, look, he's a man on a mission. They didn't say, you know, kill everybody. They say like, let's do this vengeance, the desecration of the tomb, you know, which I say, you know, they should have.
Yeah. Although I think the second person who dies is Steve's sister, right? The aunt.
Yeah, the aunt is Jane Banning.
Yeah, I thought was, oh man, they killed her off. That's a little sad there, you know.
She had nothing to do with it. Yeah.
She ever do?
But she's part of the bloodline.
She got that last name. They can't kill the other girl because she's already dead. The Marta character. So but it's like one thing you mentioned earlier, John, about the mummy I do like the idea like it follows and coming slow at you, but sometimes it seems like these characters could get away, and
Oh,
it's frustrating. But it has to do with in the I think because of how much time they have. But say he comes after Stephen Banning, he's
Yeah.
in a bedroom, he could probably get away, even though he's really surprised the mummy just pops in when he's hadn't seen the mummy for 30 years and just
Yeah.
walks into his room. So
I mean, can you imagine though? Can you imagine just being Steve Bannon, and you've like gone and now you're like old and you're living in this like very nice house, and you've like lived this life of privilege and adventure and stuff. And then one day the thing from 30 years ago just comes walking in. It's going like, hey, remember me?
Yeah.
Time to pay up,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought that was cool. No, no, you could totally get away. You could totally get away.
Well,
He's
I think
not
that's always
that-
been the problem with these mummy movies.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
like, well, the mummy lumbers along; he doesn't run. So how does he catch anybody?
That's it. The
Yeah.
fate.
But he goes after Babe's even worse because he's out in the middle of the street. There's the fucking mummy, and then he's like runs into, of all places, an alley where he can't get away from him. He tries to climb up a fence. I mean, really, he should have been in front of the alley to begin with. If for that scene, he should have been in front of the alley. The mummy blocks him in there, and he can't get away because he can't climb up the fence. He's too old
Yeah.
to do it. But
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
it's
that
just
was-
like,
It
yeah,
was a bummer. It was a real
Yeah.
bummer. Wrong place, wrong time. Unless like Mummy has like some kind of honing thing. They don't tell. He must have a honing thing. It must be like it follows, because there's no way the Mummy would have like known. Okay, go down 3 streets and then to the left, and then they've got tractor beam in them.
They know
So,
where
yeah.
they know where the Banning family is. They know where
That's
the
it.
Babe is. They can
yeah,
find
yeah. He has to.
anywhere.
Babe like really screws up. He comes into town and he's like, he tells the son, he's real concerned about the son. He's like, I'm an old man. I don't care as much. He's not going to come after me. For some reason, he doesn't think he's going to come after him. And then
Yeah.
he goes into this bar. Everyone's around him, and they all hear there's a shadow down the street. They all leave, and he's like, okay, whatever. I guess I won't go with you guys. I'm just going to go out in the street by myself in the middle of the night. And
Yeah.
there's the mummy.
I don't know if this is something, but that does, when you're saying, because there is a lot of like, I saw a shadow.
Yeah.
I saw a shadow, and everybody is jumping at the shadows, and you go like at that time in 1942 when we're gearing up for war. 42, I did a little Wikipedia. They go, that was the year we started sending troops over, and so people were so on edge, and so they are jumping at shadows, in real life, and
It's
yeah.
I mean, a shadow can be pretty scary,
It can
especially if you're in a rural town like that in the middle of the night, and then
yeah.
something walks by outside. But
Yeah.
but here they're going to the cops. They're like, there was a shadow outside, and the cops are like, okay,
Yep.
yeah,
They all had pipes, so we're going,
yeah.
What?
Fucking
Yeah.
shadow. What do you want me to do?
Yeah, exactly. I thought just there was some unintentional funny stuff. One, we were talking about how slow the mummy is. Okay, as the the women in this movie, this one here is more typical. The woman in whatchamacallit, Mummy's hand,
Yeah.
very strong,
Yes.
very autonomous, and has her own thing, and she's kind of like Marion Ravenwood, she's got
Yeah.
like her
Yes,
got her
yeah.
own feistiness,
For like a 1940 movie, it's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
unexpected for her to have that type of personality, and it works. They actually gave her kind of the Mel character in that
Yeah.
film.
Yeah. Yeah, she's really good in it. She's really good in it. And then but what are you gonna do? The mummy walks in your tent, you go like, ah, crap, and then you take the oil lamp, you throw it at it, burns into flame, the woman's the hero. So they had to like reaffirm the pecking order here, so whenever there's the danger, it was so out of character for the girl in the mummy's hand to like scream and faint, because she's been around the world, she's seen some shit, okay,
That mummy might smell so fucking bad though. When he picks you up, it makes you pass out. Yeah.
The mold is mold, man, 3,000-year-old mold. Yeah, but they
Black
always
gold.
they,
God.
the women have to faint when they see it.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
the girl in the second one was like an innocent, so you can sort of see it, but I didn't buy for a second that that woman would have fainted.
Yeah, you
But
mean in the mummy's hand? You didn't
in the
buy that
mummy's
she was-
hand,
Yeah, yeah.
in the
Yeah,
mummy's
But this
hand.
this
comment
this
on
one
that.
this one's a little different. Yeah, there's something else about these films too. I talked about this a little bit on the other one.
Yeah.
I don't. The guy's dad dies, and he's like still acting all whimsical and
No.
flirty with his girlfriend, and he's never
Dude.
like upset about his dad dying.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. And it may be bad screenwriting, but it may be nothing means anything to these people.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
there's no weight to anything. People are dying all the time in these movies, and in the next scene, they're cracking jokes. You know, all the time. It happens all the time. But if it wasn't like for the themes of the movie, I would say, oh, that's just, they're not thinking this through, but maybe they're thinking it through because these people are hollow, shallow people.
Yeah. I mean, I think we talked about. Kevin said this yesterday that we think they're trying to keep it light because it's a
right.
40s movie, and they're trying to not bring the audience down with a downer.
That's true.
But
That's true.
it's just so like the way they act so whimsical, and he's still going to the park with his girlfriend, and they're that's when the Bay character starts like creeping on him. He sees him in the park, and he's like looking.
He's always behind the bushes, man.
Yeah.
So what you bring up the Bay character, and yet he does the same mistake that the Andahib character does the first film, and he was warned not to do that mistake in this film.
Yeah,
but they can't help it though. That's the human nature. That even with these characters, once they get Americanized,
yes,
they do the same shit.
Once they see. Once they see the beautiful women of America, they just can't help themselves.
Yeah.
But no. What I liked about the fact was that he gets corrupted and then uses the mummy, not as part of the theology, but for his own needs.
Yeah.
His own thing.
He even stops, like he still hadn't killed John Banning yet, and he stops him from killing John Banning. He's like, just go get the girl for me.
Yeah.
It's like, who cares about killing this John Banning guy?
And I think that's
right. I forgot about that.
And I think that's a real truthful statement too. Where it's like you got the idea, the front ideals of the things that are in power, but they're just got their own messed up agendas, just like anything else. But they get everybody to follow their agenda, even though because they're saying we're for this and we're for that, but really they're just trying to get this chick, man. But they mobilize, and so the people go out to war for like these grand ideals, but the motivation behind it is not so honorable. Yeah, I thought that was good. But it was also interesting. Both of those movies end with the chick tied to a table, and
this one she's tied to a casket. He brings her into the friggin' like mausoleum, and she's a casket, and and she faints again like randomly, like while she's tied to the thing.
Well, you just go like, this one I guess this one smacked of xenophobia for me, with all that. It was like, I guess it was kind of like, we've got to go overseas and fight. So though they don't come to our shores and do this to our women.
Yeah.
That's an interesting station, actually.
Yeah, well, the whole thing kind of being 42, it's very interesting. It's like once they find out the mummy is there, all the menfolk mobilize. I mean, it's a Universal movie, so they usually grab torches. But in 1942, for them all to come together and become a force of violence to push out this foreign influence.
There's a lot of extras in that scene too.
Yeah,
a
lot. It's like I didn't. That town seemed empty most of the time.
That's
but
the
now
whole
it was
friggin' town. Yeah,
and
might have some people from another
That's
town.
the county. That's
Yeah,
the county. That's the whole
they all
county.
get together. They all get together, and then it's the old man who tells John, "Well, I met this guy at the cemetery. He says from Egypt."
Yeah.
He
A
was telling me
foreigner?
about all all this Egyptian philosophy.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's like, it's
Ooh.
funny that you should mention Egypt.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I was
I was
picking
like,
out a
oh,
grave for myself.
There's
Yeah.
only
It's like-
one
it's like it's a
Egyptian
mummy.
in this town, so he
it's-
has to be the villain.
Yeah, there's somebody from not around here. Oh, let's get him.
Yeah, and
So, you have the mob then show up at his job at the cemetery. And he
We're just here to
tries to,
talk.
he tries to get them to all leave.
Yeah, yeah.
Karis, take the body out the back.
yeah.
So
The way they cut it, it's like he's surrounded by the mob and he's talking. And at one point, he kind of like looks over their shoulder. And you see the mummy kind of slurking behind.
Yeah,
the
it's like-
bush.
it's like-
he's
yeah.
kind of like stalling.
Yeah.
He's kind of stalling
Yeah.
to let the mummy get away.
Yeah, he's like, Mummy, you're going the wrong friggin' way. You're not supposed to be right there, you know?
because the townspeople see it.
Yeah, I mean,
People see him. There's the mummy. We saw the mummy going through the woods, and then of course, it's the sheriff that shoots.
well, he pulls out a gun like an
Yeah.
idiot. I mean, he still
Yeah.
was. He still could have denied all this shit. Still, he
Yeah.
could have been like,
You guys
they
are.
They know
you guys
there's a
are
mummy.
racist.
Yeah, they know there's a mummy there already. It's not like there's the mummy. Go get him. Instead of telling, instead of that, like he pulls out a gun like a fool and then
Yeah.
gets shot. It's
Yeah,
like,
he was. Yeah, folly of youth. He was too young. He didn't
Yeah.
have.
He gets shot, and then of course everyone goes after the mummy. I actually like the sequence following this because
Oh,
the
yeah.
mummy takes her to this house. Now, do you know whose house that is? Is that a random house? Because I kept thinking at first it was like
it's their house. It's the Banning house.
Okay, so it is
Yeah.
the Banning's house.
It is
so-
hilarious. It's hilarious to me what happens. I'm gonna let you tell it, but I think it's freaking
No,
hilarious.
I thought it was funny too because the Karis with the lady climbs up the side of the house to the window. I'm like, when did he learn how to climb? For one,
Yeah.
instead of going
And the
through
door's
front
open.
door.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
front
yeah.
door is right there.
His
Yeah.
front door's right there. So he climbs up the window, climbs the side into the house on the second floor, and then of course all they're gonna do is go right straight to the stairs. But then that's where John runs into the house and tries to stop him. And so
Worst. Oh my
But like-
God. He's the worst fighter. I mean, he's
The
like
worst
the
fighter.
guy's got one arm and he's like slow. And I think he's carrying the woman, but this guy's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And he just pushes him and he falls on his torch. I'm like, God,
Yeah.
it was almost like a one punch over. But he just keeps coming back like, you know? It was
Yeah.
like,
which is stupid because Banning, I think it's Banning's torch that starts the house
Yeah.
burning. So
Everybody else gets on board
Oh,
with it. They're like,
oh,
let's
yeah,
just
that's
burn
the
the
thing.
house down.
Burn the
it's
It's
so
like-
much easier. Yeah, I mean, it's like, hey, that's my house. No, we're not.
Yeah.
We're not taking any
which is
chances.
cool to watch, but when you think about it, it's like they just burned down his house.
Yeah, and it's like there's no reason for it. It doesn't like. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess the mummy doesn't like fire, but it's like it seems a little unnecessary to burn the house down all the way. It's like,
Yeah, it looks great though. It was a
Yeah,
great,
It does look great.
yeah.
but
Yeah.
you
Even
know,
back in the 40s, they had to have the big
Yeah.
ending, and
But they-
Universal movies love to burn shit down.
Yeah.
We all
They were
know that.
panicking. They were panicking over the mummy. I mean, it makes sense that they were panicking, but fire is a very dangerous thing, and it's like,
the fire was much more dangerous than the mummy.
yeah.
Which
Yeah,
is kind of like what you burned the village to save the village. I mean, they're like
Yeah.
completely desecrating their town here,
Yeah.
to stomp out this foreign influence,
Yeah, I like the
Yeah.
way you say it now. Well, I'm gonna think about that next time I watch it. Think all about that. But of course, how's this Isabel get away? I'm drawing a blank.
I think they carry her down the trestle. Don't they
Yeah,
grab her and
yeah,
tear her to
yeah,
and then they
yeah.
set the trestle on fire, and then the mummy's
Oh,
coming
that's
out. It's
right.
like, oh, I
Yeah.
can't go that way. I guess
Yeah.
loop back around.
It's like, yeah, and then the cops show up and they start shooting the mummy again, and then you think the mummy dies. He looks like he kind of got caught on fire, but not really. And then he goes into the fire, but they leave it, so maybe he got away. We find out
Yeah.
later on, but
Yeah. I was disappointed. It was like they kept showing shots of a dummy mummy, and I was going like, well, set it on fire. I mean, why can't we just watch it burn? Maybe that was a Hays Code thing or something. But what it was interesting,
yeah.
like the first mummy with Boris Karloff, I guess pre-Hays. You got that scene with the spear going through the guy and the blood, and he comes over
Yeah.
and go like, wow, they got away with a lot, And it changed. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It could have just been they didn't want to kill the mummy all the way because they were planning on doing more or hoping to
Yeah.
do more, but they wanted to make it so that you could, even though they bring him back at the end of the other one, they killed him and they killed the other guy, the high priest guy, but they brought
Right.
both of them back anyway. So it's kind of like
Yeah.
kind of
kinda
like they did
like-
in Halloween 4. So
Yeah,
it's,
yeah, it's kind of like a serial kind of mentality where like at the last minute.
This was in their cycles. The Universal horror movies were in their cycles, so they were like,
Mhm.
well, "How many more sequels can we possibly do?" And they were chucking them out with all their franchises.
Well, they got 2 more, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
think-
I'm
I think
I'm
they make
really-
sequels just about all their franchises. So I'm trying, except
Yeah,
for yeah, I think so.
I think the Mummy does have more than the other ones. There's as far as like the Frankenstein has the 3 main ones, but then they had the monster mashups after that.
right.
But it's really like that in a way. Those monster mashups to me don't count as the actual Frankenstein film or the Dracula film because
Yeah.
Dracula and Frankenstein only had really 3, and so did Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Wolfman only had 2, I think. Well, Wolfman had 1, right?
It had one, and then it had the ones that were like adjacent ones.
Yeah, yeah. There was a
The
Wolfman versus
mashups.
Frankenstein or something
Right.
like that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean those movies are kind of like more like party movies. It's kind of like when Jason versus Freddy came out.
Yeah, yeah.
It wasn't like meant to be like this serious thing. It was kind of like finally we're getting like, oh, this is cool. It's kind of a novelty movie.
I think the
Yeah.
House of Frankenstein and the House of Dracula were part of the big thing. I think when they got to the Albert and Costello one,
yeah.
that's what the
Yeah.
party movies were.
That's like
Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
nail in the coffin. That's the
Yeah. I guess it was kind of done by them, and the Hammer revived it not too much longer after the last of it, after the Creature from the Black Lagoon, which a few years later. But
was the
we talked
50s,
about
right?
that.
yeah, 58 was the first Hammer Frankenstein, and I think the
Oh, okay.
Lagoon was maybe 54, the last Lagoon movie.
Yeah.
So it was
They were
only
really
like
close. They
4
were really
years
close.
later they
Yeah.
rebooted it with Hammer. So
I would be real interested. I haven't seen the last Creature, but I just saw the bad makeup, and I was going like, man, it's just like trying to squeeze the last bit out of the stone.
yeah.
But
Well, yeah, I
haven't
mean
seen it
that
yet.
movie's actually it's kind of interesting what they do with those 3 films. I actually
Yeah.
like the third one pretty good.
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
discussed those movies on this show already.
Cool.
For everyone who's listening, we have discussed all 3 of the Creature from the Black Lagoon films, so make sure to check those episodes out as well. But
Yeah,
yes,
there's award-winning episodes.
Yes.
We gave ourselves awards for them.
All right. We did it.
we'll do that at the beginning of next year. We'll do our internal awards where we give
Yeah.
each other the best of awards to whatever episodes we want to give. We'll do.
Yeah,
Have
yeah,
over 100 to choose from.
right. And if anybody else wants to give us an award, feel free, because then we can be like, we really got an award.
It could be like
hey,
a
that's
coupon
what we're here for,
Subway.
people. We want to win awards, so you
Yeah,
have to
right.
tell.
We could be like the award-winning podcast, Conversations in Horror.
Conversations of
Oh,
Horror.
Jesus.
And then it's like on the bottom, it says one of our random viewers just gave us an award. So
We'll have to start talking. You have to start talking like James Lipton from Conversations in the Actors Studio. We have to slow it down and speak with more gravitas.
No, we're not doing that. We're having fun
Yeah.
with this one. Like
So,
the House of Frankenstein. This
House
is Conversations of Horror. We're here to have fun.
So quick back to the Mummy. The Mummy's
Yes.
dead, but unlike the Hammer horror films, the thing goes on for another good minute, and
yes,
we get to see more newspaper clippings.
Yes.
The John Banning and Isabel did get married, and the Mummy apparently perished in the fire, according to the paper. And then we get I guess an after wedding scene, and they're going in. I guess they just got married, and people are throwing stuff at them, and then it just ends.
Yep.
What's funny is like while I'm watching this, I'm like, this movie's like 60 minutes long. I'm actually hitting the timer. I'm like, it's got like 30 seconds left. What are they gonna do? And it's like, and then they do that, and then there's no credits. So it's like,
It's like
it's weird because this film has a presence of the media within it.
I like that. Yeah.
It's different because a lot of the other films don't do that, and
Right.
this one, it is a very relevant presence in here, and I actually like that they ended it that way. Not so much about going to the wedding, but with the articles, I thought was really clever. I don't know if I needed them to be getting married in the movie.
Yeah, like and they're like it's another one of those scenes like the park scenes when they're just like so fucking happy. And
Yeah.
it's like you guys are not traumatized by this
No.
mummy thing happening?
No,
That
it
killed
was
your father and
no,
your
so
aunt.
funny. So that was scene was so unintentionally funny and so obviously part of the propaganda of the time where they're walking in the park and he's just gotten drafted and he goes like, "Well, this might be kind of tough." She goes like, "Oh, just think about how wonderful it's going to be to be finally get away from all this home drama that's
Yeah.
just bumming you out. Oh yeah, like finding out your father was murdered,
Yeah, yeah.
like get away from all these get away from this bummer back at the house and everything. Go over there, go overseas, see new things, and
Yeah.
everything." I was going like, man, they were really feeding us the
Yeah,
medicine
yeah.
back then,
And then she's like going to go with him. He's like, "Whoa, you're going to go with me, but we got to get married first."
Yes.
That's it.
And that's what sets that Bay character off. He's like, "Hell no, that's
Oh,
not
no.
happening."
That's my lady. That's my lady. I'm gonna tie her
Right,
to a
that's what sets it
coffin.
off.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. All right, guys. It's
All
come that
right.
time. Is there anything else you would like to discuss with this film?
Oh my gosh.
Anything else to say?
No, I don't have anything else unless we want to talk more about what Bay says to her when he has her tied up and he's all like the other high priest, he has this plan that they're just gonna fall in love with him. He's like, "I'm gonna give you the Tana liquid and
Mhm.
then you're gonna thank me for it later." He
Right,
actually says
right.
that.
Right. Yeah, you'll thank me later. When we're like, after we've been married 5,000 years, you'll
Yeah.
say, "Yeah, I'm really glad you gave me those Tana's leaves. I really warmed up to you, you
Yeah.
know?
Oh
Not
my
that
God.
bad."
How
Not
about
that
you,
bad.
Conkle? Anything else?
I am thinking that I got everything off my chest.
See, now you're talking like the mummy walks.
Right. I think yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Done.
Okay.
Done.
All right, guys. I'd like to thank you for joining us in this conversation about the Mummy's Tomb. We at this time are going to rate the movie, and what we do for everyone who's listening is we like to rate the movies between 1 star and 5 stars, 1 being poor, 5 stars being amazing. Where on the spectrum do you want to place this movie, Mr. Dave?
Well, I'm gonna go use the Tana leaves as my moniker again, like I did yesterday. But this one's tough. I think I have a better appreciation for it after this conversation. I was going to go with 2.5 stars. I'm going to bump it up to 3. So yeah.
Cool.
What about you, Conkle?
Okay. So, as I'm going to say, okay, it's not fair. I would give it like 2 stars, all right, by itself. But if you combine it and you think of it as really, if you think of it as being, if you combine it and think of Mummy's Hand as Mummy's Tomb as one movie, I give it a 3. I think Mummy's Hand is like a 2, and I think this one's like a 2. But you put them together, you get 3, maybe 3.5.
All
You see it
right.
as one story.
So to be honest with you, Dave, I would be like you. If we hadn't had this conversation, I would have given it 2 stars. I give it 3 because some of the stuff that you brought up, Conco, has me thinking I'm going to rewatch it, kind of thinking in that mindset. So that next time I discuss this movie, I will have a different outlook. I never thought of it that way until you brought it up, and I thought it was very relevant to some of the stuff that you said. So
Cool.
There's still some narrative problems that I have
Oh.
problems with.
Oh, yeah.
There's
There's
also
also
a
a
of
pacing problem too, in a way.
wanky.
So, yeah.
which is weird for a film that's only an hour long to have.
Yeah.
pacing.
Yeah. It's wonky. There's a lot of wonky stuff in it, definitely, and some unintentionally funny things. When the guy says like it was a mummy that killed him, and they're going like, "Wow,
Yeah,
really?"
yeah.
I'm just like,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, guys, come on, where's your journalistic integrity?
Yeah.
All right, so thank you guys for joining us on Conversations in Horror. For everyone out there who's listening, I want to thank you all for joining us for this conversation about the Mummy's Tomb. Please make sure to check out the previous episodes that we have done on this series, and go over to our partner podcast, Conversations in Hammer Studio Horror, and check out the episodes on the Hammer mummy movies as well. I'm sure you're going to really enjoy those. From all of us here at Something Wicked Entertainment, I want to wish you a pleasant day, and we will see you on the next episode. Conversations in Horror is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures production, written, produced, and directed by Kevin L. Powers, executive producer Kelly A. Inoka. All contents and material from this episode of Conversations in Horror is copyright 2025 Broken Lighthouse Pictures.